Good evening. We're here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room, continuing with some of our interviews with some of the flight controller teams that support the on-orbit activities. Joining us here at the console is Holly Griffith, who is the EPS Shuttle Flight Controller. Why don't you start by telling us what EPS is?
Okay. EPS stands for Electrical Power System. So we manage the electrical systems of the shuttle. That's the fuel cells and also the cryogenics. So if you've ever seen Apollo 13, and obviously that was a much more serious situation, but we do the same thing just for nominal ops.
And tell us about your background. What led you to this job?
I'm a mechanical engineer. I've always wanted to work at NASA. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do. It just, you know, as a little girl, seeing the things that they did, I mean, what's cooler than that, you know? So I figured engineering would be the best way to go, and all the way through school, working through college, I tried to tailor everything to put me in the best position to end up here.
What was it in your background or growing up you think that attracted you?
I don't know. It's just something that was always there. It's just something that I've always wanted to do. There was never anything else. I can't really explain it.
And where did you go to school? And tell us about how the coursework was, what you liked most about that training.
Well, I'm from Louisiana, so I went to school there. It's a smaller college called McNeese State University. They have a good engineering program, and so I would just tried to tailor all of the classes I took and everything more towards the aerospace or what I thought would work out the best to come to NASA.
So in your current job, can you tell us a little bit about what you like the most about your day-to-day activities?
What I like about the job now is definitely the variety. We don't do the same things every day. One day we might have a sim, and the next day, you know, we'll be in the office or do something else. So it changes from day to day, and I like that because there's never a chance to get bored.
And tell us, during this mission, what kind of will be the milestones for your team?
For our team, there's really, for this mission, it's kind of quiet for us. Right now what's going on is we're discussing with our cryogenic budgets, we're discussing kind of what we want to do with the oxygen that we have, if we want to, you know, if we were to stay up longer or if we were to give some of it to station. So that's what we're working on the most right now. But in terms of big milestones, for us, specifically this mission is one of the more quiet ones.
And how many missions have you worked?
Oh, I think this would be number 15. I think number 15, around there, ever since return to flight.
Okay. What do you like most, you know, supporting missions? Is there a highlight or a typical activity that you really, really enjoy?
Definitely working ascent. Ascent entry is so much fun, but especially ascent. It's very different from the orbit phase of flight. It's so much more exciting. And even though the ascent itself is only about 8.5 minutes long, it's just the most exciting 8.5 minutes that you could imagine.
Tell us a little bit about, like, what is the training flow like to get into your position? How long have you been working towards this?
I've been here for a few years, and this is, well, the ascent entry certification was my second certification, and so we do a number of sims. We have to accomplish a certain number of objectives for each different training flow. And once we get a certain number of objectives, then we have different stages in our sim training where we'll have you know, a midpoint sim or a final sim where the failures are more directed towards your specific discipline. And once you pass those milestones and you do well on those sims, then you get certified.
How much time are we talking? Is this like a year for each certification?
It depends. I would say minimum of about a year, but it depends on how many flights we have that year. So if we have more flights, then we have the number of sims goes down because we're more focused on the flights. Also, if there's someone ahead of you in your training flow, then you have to wait for them to finish. So I would say about a year for each certification, but it can definitely vary depending on other factors.
What's your favorite part about working for NASA?
My favorite part about working for NASA, the flights. I mean, just knowing that there's, you know, a ship up there right now and there's people in it and you know them, and in some small way you're responsible for how it operates. If you think about it, if you take a step back and think about it from that perspective, it's so cool.
Do you have some advice for people who might be interested in a career like yours?
Advice would just be don't give up. And there's probably a lot of people trying to work here because it is cool, but just don't give up in school. You know, stay. You know, if you have something that you're focused on, stay with it, especially science or engineering, and just keep trying to follow that dream.
Some great work. Thank you very much, Holly.
Thank you.
That's Holly Griffith, who is the EPS, one of the backroom controllers for the Space Shuttle Flight Control Team here in Houston.